COT data video for the week beginning the 16th of October 2023. It's worth noting that the euro was falling and it's continuing to fall from last week. Okay, so 78,000 to 75,000. The dollar is creeping higher, like exactly how I said it would. It will just tread water and inevitably it will get stronger over time. And we haven't had the crossover for the euro USD sell yet. All right, when we do, it's going to probably get quite ugly, and the herd long on this particular currency pair, the long euros and the short in the dollar. Okay, so when we get the crossover, we're probably going to see a 52-week low, and it's going to really hurt a lot of people financially, and so you've got to be really careful. Basically, know where your exit is. If we get the crossover, it could be potentially be quite heavy. Okay, and you might have seen the pound USD price, which I can just show you quickly. We're doing it in a bit of a strange order because I'll show you normally the yen, but there, you know, the pound USD, we really fell. I think well, we went to 123.3 and we closed at 121.50, so it was a big move. But we'll look at the pound in a bit. We'll put the euro back on. Look at the yen. We need to look at the yen because it's treading water a little bit like the dollar is above zero, but the yen is treading water all the way at minus 100,000 contracts. So it's really bearish. The banks and institutions are not particularly bullish on yen, probably because of their policy. Okay, so we've got 111,000. They're really bearish, and so we're looking to make a little bit of a high low. Yeah, 117, 113. So we did break that low. Yeah, we did break that low, but we made a higher low there, which is of note. So it might not be too bad for the yen. We'll have to see next week. Okay, the euro off. We'll look at the pound. We have just looked at it, but we'd look at it in proximity to the yen as well. So there's the GU sell, right? And we really did fall. So that was a good spot if anyone caught that. It also made a very quite scary, convincingly scary H4 harmonic. We had made a big W, and on the H4, and we had made a lower high, apologies, on the H4, and we really fell. So there's the channel break, and there's the selling of the pound against this USD, and then we saw that continuation here. 10,000 to, oh, we can't see it because that data's in the way, but we saw a decrease of that data from the week prior. Aussie on has been erratic, and chop, and we're more positive. 96,000, 86,000, 76,000, so it's kind of in 10,000 increments. So we've still got a long way to go. If we go at that speed, it's going to take 2 months before we go up to positive. Right, so that's if this goes in a straight line, which is very unlikely because it's more going to zigzag and be quite erratic. So there's no signal there because we don't have a crossover, but we had one on GU, the pound USD, which you would have noticed. Aussie off, CAD on. CAD's fallen, so we've gone from 32 to 46. Okay, so there was a trade set up there, but we had a rejection there. Okay, CAD off, gold on. Okay, gold shooting down, but we had a enormous increase in price, and now that increase in price was very likely to do with the Middle East crisis, because it moved on one day, on Thursday, it moved 3%, and we don't normally see gold move so strongly in a single day, just because of sentiment. It's more likely going to be fundamental. When we move so strongly on a single day, it tells us that there are stuff going on in the world pushing price. Sentiment is really indicative of price going up to take stops, and then it comes down to take stops. That's how sentiment kind of works. But if it's going to go and take stops and continue and continue and continue, then it's more fundamental, and that tells us that it probably was very likely the Middle East crisis that's ongoing, and it's still ongoing now, and they're talking about an invasion of Gaza. They're telling the civilians to move south, and they're going to have to purge Hamas from Palestine. It's going to be a pretty bonkers week, and without going into too much detail, our robot is based on risk on. We need a risk on week, and so this is why the robot has been suffering, because we actually were quite risk off. And if I show you Friday's data, perhaps I can show you. Look at Friday, it was bonkers. Yeah, blah blah blah, boring. This one, I'll show you the QuasiDB scores. I would have opened Google Chrome, but I got an email opening. So QDB scores, once this loads, there. Now I'll show you what I mean by what a bonkers day it was on Friday. Now this, right, VIX had pumped 15%, right? We had a low technical score, and we continued to dump on the technical scores, so we're actually sitting at 16. Risk calc. You know, we had a big dump on the technical scores, so basically fundamental day, basically. So we'll go back to the COT data, and let's go. So that's the reason why there's a bit of a delay here, because this is from Tuesday. All right, that's important to note. And by come next week, when we do the video for next Sunday, this probably should have shot higher because of what's happened, basically. So it's going to come up as a safe haven. Also, the treasury yields were falling, and that helped gold go higher as well. Plus, the herd had sold gold by 29% on Friday, so you know, we really pumped. So there are lots of it's like a cocktail really for this to move higher, right? And this is delayed, so we've got to remember that this data is delayed. Okay, Kiwi probably sideways. Oops, we take gold off, and yeah, just dropping, aren't we? And the New Zealand dollar. That's fine. If it goes positive, it probably go do something like this. We're back negative again. Swiss franc might have moved higher because we saw some big moves on cross Swiss this week, and no, it didn't really do much. So this could have been delayed as well. But if you note that the Euro Swiss, the Kiwi Swiss, the Dollar Swiss, they all fell really heavily on Friday. So this is probably going to say a little bit of a pump on next Friday. So the spreadsheet's all ready to go. I've all primed it and we're ready, and everything's set up. The robot's ready to go. But just before I close the video, we need to know that we've got some warnings on some currency pairs on the Aussie Swiss, the Kiwi CAD, and the Euro Swiss. The reason for it is look at the sentiment on their long, 96%. 97%, 98%. Pound Swiss is going to be extreme as well, plus the New Zealand dollar USD. So we've got very, very extreme sentiment. So we're going to have to see a flush on these pairs, and so we're going to see quite a heavy start to the week. And these are risk off currency pairs. So it looks like we'll probably have to have a flush on these pairs, and we're going to probably have risk off start Monday. Get these guys out, kick them out the casino, and then we can potentially do okay. But the robot's got some Aussie exposure, or had some before we got stopped out, and it's got some New Zealand dollar exposure as well. So ideally these guys get flushed out, and then we can make some profits. But if they hold on, we're going to see some very heavy moves on these currency pairs. So hopefully you trade safely, you know your exits. It's so important. And this video, this week, I'm going to make a video about your risk management and how to exit. All right, so you might not be too confident when to exit. I'll show you a good way to do it, and it keeps you really disciplined as well. So stay tuned for that video, and I wish you a good day. And we'll just have to hope that things don't get worse in the Middle East, and hopefully it gets contained. And Secretary Blinken in the US was saying that there's no outside parties involved, which is good, because if the Hezbollah or the Taliban or then they got involved, and it can spill over. So trade safely. We've got a pretty bonkers week, I think, and we've got a potentially heavy day on Monday with these currency pairs down here. Okay, so trade safely.